my way to Las Vegas right now, talking to Reza right now. So Reza, this is great media. So and he's the Uber driver. So I'm telling him a story about how, yeah, we'd gone. So I was driving an Uber black car, SUV. I pick up this guy at the Claremont. It was a long drive all the way back down to Mountain View, 2017. And I'm like, who is this guy? $200 ride in an Uber black car SUV. I'm thinking, this is a long ass ride. It's expensive. Guy must be rich. Plus it's the Claremont too, right? So, and he lived there. So it was really strange. Not just staying there, he lived at the Claremont. So, man, this guy must be a baller. Turns out he's the CEO of SurveyMonkey. So I start talking with him, and we're shooting the breeze. I'm like, so what's your story? He's like, he tells me he comes out to San Francisco during the .com, gets a job out here in the city at that time. And he and his guy who he grew up with called Garrett was basically this tech programming guy. And Garrett, he convinced him to come out here. So he had a job out here, and about 5 years go by, maybe 3 years. He convinces Garrett to come out here. And he was doing okay, making 50, 60 grand a year. But he convinced him to come out here. He's like, screw it. So in the city, if you weren't here, but at that time, what happened is that between 2000 and 2007, maybe 8, maybe even longer, there was a absolute monopoly dominance on the cab rides in San Francisco. And what would happen is if you did not have first of all, if you lived in the Sunset, or if you lived in Richmond, or if you lived in Presidio, or if you lived in freaking Pacific Heights, you had to take a cab. It wasn't optional. It wasn't like, oh, I'll just do something else. There wasn't any other options. You might be able to get that rail line to get out there, or a bus if you're going to wait a long time, but you still have to get a cab to get where you're going to go if you live out there. So there's a monopoly on cabs. So Garrett moves out to San Francisco, right? Brad's telling me this whole story. I'm telling you from Brad to my ears, from Brad to yours. All right. So so Garrett moves out here. We're dealing with this crisis in Union Square with the cabs and the limos. He says, we have a place in Richmond. Richmond district is hard to get out to with the cabs. And the cabs would say this, they'd say, we don't want to take you. And they said, well, we got to get home. Sorry, we can't get you home. This is a little bit of a crisis situation. 2 o'clock, the bar's closing, Ruby Skies are closing, Union Square, they can't get back. So Garrett is a tech, he's a programmer, he was an engineer. Brad was a business guy, all right? So Garrett's like, he's like, you know what, Brad, the iPhone 1 comes out. This is a true story, all right? I heard it from his own ear. He said, iPhone 1 comes out. This is 2000, would have been 6, 7, iPhone 1. On the iPhone 1, they had apps. Garrett says, you know what, Brad? The iPhone's out. They got this app store. I can put together a little app on the phone, and we can go and talk to all these limo drivers that are sitting here, because the taxi cabs would not take people around. So he says, we'll go talk to the limo drivers that are just sitting there waiting, doing nothing. And we'll say, look, guys, you download this app on your phone, iPhone 1 if you have it. A lot of guys have the iPhone 1 at the time. And they said, all right, what I'll do is it will send you a message on your phone, and then you could come pick us up. And it will just be a group of like 25 or 10 limo drivers, and Brad and Garrett and a couple of their friends. That was it. And the limos would come around and pick them up. It worked because Garrett was a genius when it came to the programming and the software. And so next thing you know, it starts working in the city. It's an iPhone 1 app. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And I'm like, who's this guy, Garrett? He's like, oh, well, he's like, you get this. He's like, a couple months go by and the thing starts taking off. We didn't realize what a freaking crisis it was to get a car and get a ride on taxis. A couple months go by, all of a sudden it's just going viral. Next thing you know, it's going international, okay? And all of a sudden, now you've got this global phenomenon called Uber. A couple weeks go by. I'm driving for the limo company again, and I got the SUV. And at this time, I was driving in an SUV. I didn't have the Yukon this time. I had a regular, a smaller size SUV. 1 o'clock in the morning, coming back from like Fillmore Street at the bars. I remember this. I was like, screw it. I had the Uber on. I was going to the airport. I had the Uber Black on. I get a ride. A guy gets in the back seat. He orders a car for me. His name is Garrett. I'm like, watch this be the guy who founded Uber. I said, no, watch this. I saw Garrett. I'd been told this story by Brad, right? I'm like, no. So this guy gets in the car, 2 girls with him, and he's just messed up, like flying high, drunk, but I'm talking like energy, good energy, really energetic, super positive, loving energy coming out of him. But I knew who he was. I was like, he looked like a hippie, like Jim Morrison. He looked casual, but I could tell because he had these 2 goddesses next to him, and they were like guarding him with their life. I'm like, you're Garrett? He's like, yeah. I'm like, because I'm picking him up. He's like, yeah. I was like, holy shit, can I get a picture? And then this girl stops me. He's like, oh, no pictures, because he's super private. Nobody recognizes him. Nobody even knows who he is, right? So I'm like, oh my God, dude. I was like, dude, I can't believe I'm meeting you right now. Your buddy Brad just told me the whole story about how you guys started Uber. And Brad was just an investor, but Garrett was the guy who started it. He built the whole thing. And then a guy called later, a couple weeks later, I get another call from the CEO at that time of Uber, and I pick him up down at the freaking W. I got a picture of the whole thing. He let me take a picture. And so, dude, it's like from a place at the Claremont down to the city, picking up literally Garrett, the guy who started Uber. The guy's worth 19, 20, not million, billion, okay? And nobody would recognize him on the street if you saw him. Talk about, dude, a story, that's a true story.
That's interesting.
Pretty cool, right, Reza?
Very good, yeah.
Yeah, that's the real deal. Reza's got 4.98% on 68,000 rides. That's got to be the #1 driver in Uber history ever that I just met.
I don't know.
I don't think there's anybody, maybe a guy at 4.99, you know how hard that is to get, 4.99? You have 4.98 on 60,000 rides. That's impossible. That's like, there's nobody better.
I was 5 for a long time. I mean,
5 is unheard of.
Sometimes people,
60,000 people are, not everybody's going to do 5 stars.
Yeah.
But to have 5 stars on 60,000, that's impossible. Nobody can be perfect. But 4.98 means like 2 guys out of 60,000 said, 4 stars.
Sometimes the writer make it kind of funny and mean. That's common.
Yeah. Well,
but Uber.
So Reza, you tell me a great story about what an excellent driver he's been in history. So it's amazing. See at the top, hit the ones. Story of the founding of Uber from Brad's voice to my ears, and my personal meeting with Garrett, the actual guy who started Uber, not the other guy who was the CEO. Garrett was the guy. It's the real story. Right here in the city, it started and how it started. A lot of people don't know. That's the true story. See you at the top of the ones. On my way to Las Vegas.